It had been a while since I had come out with a project. It's been about 8 years since I had a single, or 9 now. And so now I kind of own and founded this record label with a very dear friend of mine, Allison Ball, who actually gave me my first record deal. And it was Allison's idea that, look, if you're gonna do a project on your own label after being away for 8 years, it would be a really dope idea to, lead on your strong suit. And looking back on my career, some of my best songs have been when I had a lovely co-star, duets with female artists. And we thought, why not do a whole project like that? And if I'm gonna be 100% honest, which I think I should be, because I'm talking the vibe, I was doing a session with Felly the Voice and Carrie Hilson on a track that DJ Camper did. And I told, I'm sitting on the couch with Carrie, as I'm about to go in and do my vocal, and she just laid down this beautiful vocal. And I'm like, yo, Carrie, I still need a name for the damn album, and I just don't want it to be, we came out with the EP, and it was Eric Benét Duets, which is pretty accurate, but pretty generic. And Carrie was the one that said, what about Eric Benét, the co-star? So I was like, that's pretty damn dope. The process of choosing the voice for the song is very much, I'm not just a songwriter, I'm a music producer as well. So when you're producing a track, you know exactly what instrument is going to sound right doing a certain part. Is this a horn part? Nah, that's a string part. Am I going to use acoustic piano on this? Nah, I'm going to get out the Wurlitzer, right? So, and I think when it comes to choosing the voice for the song, it's the exact same thing. But much more layered and much more profoundly emotional when it comes to choosing the right voice for the song, because every voice is very much like a fingerprint. It's distinctive. It's its own individual human imprint on humanity. And when you hear, if Carrie was talking outside right now, I would know immediately within 2 words if it was her. And I think certain songs need a certain visceral emotional reaction. And so that's really kind of how you pick it. I mean, and I realized early on in my career that I was good at that, by choosing, which is crazy. Like my first #1 hit, Spend My Life, with Tamia, was me writing the song, living with the song, and out of all the voices I knew, I was like, okay, who's gonna have the right vulnerability, but strength, but range, but feminine, strong energy, and like all of these little ingredients that was needed on that particular song, which was a testament of, I choose you to spend the rest of my life with. So I realized then, I was like, oh, I'm good at this shit. Which is weird that this is the first time I'm doing a complete duets project. So all of that comes into play. There's a song that India Irie and I do that is just so intimate, and it just feels like you're eavesdropping on 2 people in an intimate moment. It's quite a process choosing the vocalist for the songs, but I love it. Not to toot my own horn, but don't it sound like each one of those voices belong on that particular track? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. As dope as Faith is, and as dope as Tamia is, imagine if it was swapped. It'd be like, nah, it's dope, but it ain't dope, right? Like if Faith was singing Spend My Life and Tamia was on Georgie Porgy, it would be a whole nother thing. So yeah, I think I've gotten very good at that. It's like alchemy. It's audio alchemy. And I mean, The cool thing about being a songwriter is the exhilarating thrill and joy that I felt when I was like 13, 12, and wrote my first completed song. And
What song was it?
oh my God, it was a song called The Phone. And that excitement and that joy, it never goes away. And it's like, it feels like here I am in my late 50s. You know, I ain't never did like cocaine or heroin or nothing, but they say, you know, you're always trying to chase that first high. It's not like that with songwriting. It's like the high I get now is maybe even a little stronger than back then. You know, it's an attempt to define an emotion through sound, and that, even by speaking that out loud, that's an impossible task. But it's like the songwriter is the insane person who's up for the challenge, right? So that's what it feels like now. And when I get close enough to feel like, damn, that's almost that emotion, then that's the exhilaration, you know. There are songs on this album that I have very strong feelings for. There are songs on this album that make me want to dance. But songwriting is a very personal thing. So for me, the songs that I have a visceral reaction to, and it immediately, like going back to the Bossa Nova song, like if I know I want to feel happy, I just put that Bossa Nova joint on, and it alters my mood like it was, you know, Xanax or something. It's one, because I feel like going back to that when you're trying to create or emulate an emotion when you're songwriting, or at least I am. And I was trying to paint a very real and visual picture of being in a beautiful tropical place, and that first meeting with someone who is equally beautiful and tropical, and that excitement. So I was trying to paint that picture, and as soon as I push play on that song, all those feelings just explode and come back. There's another song that I wrote on the album where I was trying to paint a different picture. The picture, there's a song called Eres Mi Vida, and I was trying to imagine loving one individual when you had no intention of falling in love with anybody. Like, you might have like wrote that shit off. Like, I ain't doing that bullshit no more. That shit crazy. Having so much emotion invested in one person that you make them the center of your universe. So I tried to imagine, what if you were in that place where you had completely written off the notion of that kind of attachment to somebody, but God, the universe, or whoever said, ha ha, boy, do I got one for you. You met somebody that you had such an intense connection with that you felt like if you lost them, you would literally either kill yourself or die. So immediately when I started to think of those concepts, musically I went to this Spanish bolero, melodic, all the instruments just came rushing forward because that music is so passionate to me. And then the song itself, when you listen to it, I'm basically literally saying that. It's like, how did this happen? Oh shit, I'm gonna die if you leave. So in a very romantic, sensual way. And when I listen to that song, I feel an immense amount of pride, because I think on some levels, musically, we captured that. It's another one that I did with my partner, Randy Amata. I never feel those pressures of trying to emulate anything or duplicate anything. I remember when I did my first solo album on Warner Brothers 78 years ago. It was an album called True to Myself. And the album didn't like blow up per se, but there were some joints on there that I got some attention for. And I remember it was time to go into the studio to start album number 2. And, you know, that question in interviews came up a lot. It's like, okay, well, you know, you had femininity, and you had this song called Let's Stay Together, and some other joints on the album that people were really loving. It's like, Eric, do you feel any pressure? You got to go back in and do it again. And my whole approach to making music is just to be vulnerable and authentic. Like when I did the first album, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was doing the opposite of that. I got out of the way of trying, and I just kind of just let the music, the muse, God, whatever, just flow through me. So every time, and so my second album, that was like my breakout joint. It was Spend My Life and When You Think of Me and Georgie Porgy. So I never feel those pressures, you know, when it comes to art, because I figured out, yeah, just get out of the way. Don't try to take over the process of creation. Let creation take over you, and then it's just gonna flow. I think doing a project with the men of R&B is an excellent idea, but after doing such a collaborative effort as co-star, I think I wanted to, the next couple projects I do, I think I just want to get back centered and just, you know, do my stuff. But yeah, definitely down the line, in the probably relatively not so distant future, I'd like to do that. Of course I would ask Joe, of course I would ask Musiq Soulchild and a couple R&B other greats, but knowing me, I would probably want to go way outside of who you would expect from somebody from the Latin world to the country world to rock to alternative to some EDM, or just push the envelope and have some really unexpected shit. I would like to do that. Going back to one of my earlier points, I think for me, songwriting is the act of trying to audio record an emotion, and I want people to, when they hear my songs, I want them to be enveloped in whatever that emotion was that inspired the song. I mean, that is the what word do I want to use? That's kind of the textbook answer to the question. But on another level, I mean, I'm about to be 60 years old in not too long, and I feel like I'm just hitting like a stride where, in a lot of ways, I'm feeling better than I've ever felt. I feel like I'm creating more prolifically and more emotionally than I've ever created before. And so I think I would like to remind people that there's no expiration date on inspiration, and no expiration date on creativity, and no expiration date on making your dreams come true. So, and every time I go into a studio and make a recorded project, it feels like I just made another one of my dreams come true. So That's probably a message I want to get out to whoever is out there feeling like, oh, I'm 40 years old, I can't do nothing no more. You know, that is some fear-based and incorrect and not congruent with the abundance of the universe thinking.